here was at the Hateful Eight screening? Wasn't that the fucking shit? It was always meant to be on the Cinerama Dome screen, and man, this afternoon it was, and it blew my mind, and I made the movie.
How's everyone doing tonight? Alright, that is what I like to hear. My name is Ryan, I'll be your greeter today. You guys are here for the final screening of our ArcLight Presents series, Once Upon a Tarantino. This is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 70mm. Love that you guys are hyped, I am too. First off, I just want to thank all of you who have come to any one of our screenings this week that have been celebrating Quentin Tarantino's work. This series has been a tribute to his filmography and his contribution to the film industry. Over the course of the weekend, we've been showcasing all of his previous films in 35 and in 70mm. As you saw upon entering the theater, we worked to create a Tarantino-themed celebration with special decor, exhibits, drink specials, etc. Also, as you exit this screening, be sure to grab your exclusive one-sheet poster for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Also, please note that after the credits, we'll be hosting a Q&A for the film with producer Shannon McIntosh and David Heyman and makeup department head Heba Thorisdottir, so be sure to stick around for that. You want to preserve that experience for anyone who's seen the film after you, since you were one of the very first people to see this film. Without further ado, I want to invite out a special guest who's really the only person to properly introduce this fantastic film. Please welcome the writer and director of Once Upon a Time, Quentin Tarantino.
Thanks a lot. How y'all doing? Wow, I'm sitting here looking. This is a really wonderful audience to see my movie, man. Standing people all the way to the top. It's awesome. Feel like it's 1979. I'm watching 1941 by Steven Spielberg at the Cinerama Dome. It was a magical experience, by the way. Just to let you know. Thank you so much. I'm a little drunk right now because I've had a few of these. So they kind of caught up with me by the end of the night. Because I was at the Hateful... Who here was at the Hateful Eight screening? Wasn't that the fucking shit? It was always meant to be on the Cinerama Dome screen, and man, this afternoon it was, and it blew my mind, and I made the movie. Wow, you guys look... I can't wait to show the movie for you, because we showed it the other day, and last night was kind of, they had a little screening before on Friday, but really officially last night was the first time it showed with an audience that paid a ticket, that could have done anything in the world they wanted to do that night, but instead they decided to watch my movie, and that is the audience that's sitting in front of me tonight. And I'm very excited to watch it with you. I won't be at the Q&A, but I will be sitting in the theater with you to watch the movie with you. The only thing which I didn't ask the other day, which I should have, which is half the reason I was supposed to be here, all right, and naturally I spaced, all right, but I'm remembering now, is don't write on your Instagram shit what happens in the last third. Let that be a virgin experience for every member who buys a ticket to have it unfold in front of them like it's unfolding in front of you. Okay? Yep. But without any further ado, who is excited to see one of the first Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Hey, you guys don't sound so excited! Said that. Here we go! Once upon a time in Hollywood, everybody!
My name is Anthony Breznican, your moderator for tonight. And the makers of the movie, you heard Quentin at the beginning in his introduction tell you, please, when you talk about this film, and I think you want to talk about this film, right? Just don't give away the surprise ending. And I think you would appreciate that, and I think a lot of people out there would not want to have it ruined for them. But the nice thing is, here at the post-screening Q&A, we can talk about all of that stuff. So I'm going to bring out our three guests tonight. First of all, she's been working with Quentin for about 20 years. She was executive producer of Django Unchained and Death Proof, and producer of The Hateful Eight, producer Shannon McIntosh. He's the producer of Gravity, Paddington, and The Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter movies, David Heyman. And she's the makeup department head. Worked on films such as Ant-Man, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards, and Kill Bill films. And she's in this film. She has a cameo. Let's hear it for Heba Thorisdottir. Heba, who did your makeup in this film?
My third makeup artist, Shauna.
What pressure, Shauna, that's what felt. Tell us about how you came to be in the film. You've worked with Quentin many times over the years, but is this your first time doing a cameo?
For him, I was also in Twin Peaks.
So how did this come about? Did he have to persuade you, or were you eager to get on camera?
No, I mean, I have read the first script, and I saw there was like a scene where a hairdresser put a wig on Leo, and I was like, oh, no, she's been around forever, she's amazing, she's like with Elvis, and she, I thought for sure she would do it. And then we were at a screening, which Mike always asked before, to inspire us, and he was like, oh, there's a part for you with this makeup artist wanting you to be in a movie. And I mean, how do you say no? You don't. So then I read the script again, and there was like 2 scenes, and then it was like a line, and there was like 2 lines, and I just got more and more anxiety and panic attacks.
The title of the film, The Once Upon a Time, that is a rich tradition in cinema. But also, as we discovered after watching it, there's a fairy tale aspect to it as well. Can you guys talk about what Once Upon a Time means in the context of this film and in general for movie lovers?
Can I just picking up on what Heba said before we get to that? Quentin creates the most incredible atmosphere on set. It really is unlike any film I've ever been on. In fact, when I got the call to work on the film, Mike Simpson, his agent, said, Quentin, the experience of Quentin's film is like no other, and he wants the next film that you go on to be absolutely miserable because it pales in comparison to this. It's really true. And part of that is the family and the sense of community that he builds. And Heba's in the film, but also quite a few other people from the crew are in it. Even I am in it. But no, he pulls people in and says, come on, get dressed, you're going to be, for example, one of the ADs is in the Manson family. That wasn't thought of at the beginning, that just came as it went. And throughout, you have this incredibly festive atmosphere of which being in films is a part. So, once upon a time, yeah, I mean, obviously, it has Western tradition, which is a big part of, one of, obviously, a genre that Quentin is a great admirer of and has a great affection for, and has made a few Westerns. And as you say, it's a fairy tale, and in a way, the ending of this film is obviously not the reality, but if only life were like the movies. And for Rick, ultimately he gets the dream of entering the house.
It's such a happy ending. Shannon, what's your experience like on this set? Can you expand on what David said about being like a family, almost like a very festive environment? How is it? You've worked with Quentin for many, many years. Has that style grown or changed in the time since you began with him?
No, I mean I think it's grown over the years, and I worked with him from a studio side in the beginning, and even back then, I mean, it was we were all a family. So every time there'd be a Quentin movie, it was seeing a lot of the crew members come back time and time again, and they look forward to it. So many people start to call you and they hear that he's writing. Hey, I hear he's writing. How soon? So I can hold in my calendar and not take any movies anywhere near this, or just hold and hope I can hang on and financially. So those are the fun calls to get when they know that he's writing, and they're fun calls to make when we're gearing up, and it's, well, maybe in a year from now, or when we kind of block it out, and people, Heba's gotten those calls before. We think we're going here, and we have to move her around so she can get off a movie early or something. But it's quite extraordinary. And what's really wonderful on this movie is Tim Rothschild was a production assistant. He was also in the movie. He was in the Manson family. We had many. His longtime editor, Sally Menke, her daughter was in the camera department on this one. She had just graduated from NYU, and so we had lots of other children of people who were still working on the movies or have before. So it's a wonderful time-honored tradition. And I was not in the movie, but both my children make a tiny cameo in there. So it's fun. One's in the when he picks up Brandy from the dog shelter. That's my boy sitting in there, and the other one you get a glimpse of. He's in a car when Brad goes flying by on Hollywood Boulevard. So you don't much see him, but they have fun.
Heba, there's so many different styles on screen. You've got the natural style of just the era, what people were wearing, whether they were dressed up to go out or just in the street, living their day-to-day lives. Then you also have the style of TV and movie makeup from that era. What were some of the more interesting ones that you got to explore?
It was because it is fairy tale in a way. So we weren't using effects or any prosthetics for the people who were lookalikes, because a lot of iconic characters in the movie. And so it was really exciting for my department to get to handle all that. And to Dakota Fanning and Squeaky, and we had to color our hair. There was a lot of contact lenses in the movie, and I think we had just having all the different styles and how Quentin shoots it, we first did Lancer, and then we did Bumpulon, and then we did 69. So you're just in it. It's just fun.
Did you have a favorite character that you helped develop the look for, or an actor you sort of worked in tandem with?
Of course, Sharon Tate was a dream. I've been looking at photos of her since I was 4 years old, and I was never really interested in the murders or Manson per se, but I was always fascinated by her and watching her movies and seeing photos, and so that was fantastic to get to show her like in a day in a life of her just going about doing her errands and doing her things and hanging out with her friends, and not have the iconic persona that you see of her most of the time in her films and pictures.
What were the conversations you had after you read the script with Quentin and then also with Margot once she was cast in the part? How did those two people influence your own creativity and what you came up with for her look?
Quentin doesn't really give a direction unless there's something really specific he wants. And otherwise, he let me do my thing, and if there's something he wants to change, he will talk to me about it. But he is always open to, like, if we do tests, like, yeah, you can do it your way, and then do it my way, and let's see what's better or what comes out better. And Margot obviously is gorgeous. She does look like Sharon in a way, and so it wasn't that challenging in a way. I think I tried to honor both Margot's fans because she has a huge fan base, as well as Sharon's. So I hope that I've succeeded.
I thought Margaret, let's hear it for everyone. I thought she had such purity to the character. I mean, she looked like almost like she was ready to shoot like a soap commercial or something. She was so clean and pure, and brings that sort of innocence to the movie. Can you two talk about the role that Sharon Tate plays in this story and how she I guess sort of ups the tension? You're worried about her the whole time, aren't you?
I think, in Quentin's mind, the death of Sharon Tate and the murders, the Manson murders, was in some way the end of innocence in Hollywood, the end of the 60s. And so Sharon, as you say, represents a certain purity, the innocence, and an enthusiasm for the world that she lives in, an enthusiasm that was obviously cut short in '69. And I think also that there are three strata of Hollywood here in a way. There is Sharon, which is high Hollywood. There's Rick, who's sort of somewhere in the middle. And then there's Cliff, who has devoted his entire life to Hollywood, but lives and exists on the fringes. So I think they each represent a different part of it.
What do you think about this, Shannon? About the three strata of Hollywood? It's a kind of story. We've seen stories told from each of those different places, but never all together, really, have we?
I think it's. These stories are still here. So there's people like Cliff who can barely afford to live anywhere near where he's actually working. So you see that when he goes out to his trailer, and then people who have made it but yet still have to. They're working nonstop, and then there's those who do well and they're still working. But I think it's still here today. So I think it's something that we can all relate to, by all means.
As you were reading the script, what was the scene or the sequence that you just thought, I can't wait till we get to create this? But let's start with you.
It's got to be the ending.
The gruesome, bloody, destructive.
Yeah, even though I don't gain the effects take care of that, but yeah, it was just so good. I just couldn't wait to see it happening.
How about you, David?
For me, it's the same. Quentin didn't really share the third act with a lot of people. He kept it quite close. But reading that, and not just, the fight, which evolved actually over time, but also that last scene where Rick gains entrance to Sharon's house. In a way, he's never been allowed in, or he's never thought of knocking on that door. And as Quentin once said about Rick, there's nobody who feels more sorry for Rick than Rick himself. And one of the things that I really love is at a certain point, Rick accepts his position. We had a quite robust discussion about Rick at one point, because he thought Rick was a bit, how could he not be thrilled by the possibility of going to Italy and working with Western? I thought, well, that wasn't his dream, and his dream was something else, and so there's how much disappointment. So we used to really go back and forth in that, but ultimately, at the end, in some way the film is about acceptance, and I think that once Rick accepts his position, and which is what Cliff has done all along, he's accepted his position, but once he accepts it, he finds a certain happiness, and the door is open for him, literally and figuratively. And I think that was so beautiful in the script, and I think it was so beautiful in the film. For me, this is in some ways its most moving film. This is most personal in some way. I think every one of the films is actually personal, but this one has a clearly particularly personal side.
Was there a scene besides the ending that you were excited for? And can you also talk about the Quentin's personal feelings and contribution, and this being a more intimate film maybe than, or more personally connected to him than any other film in his past?
Well, the thing that the whole thing I was ready to go out and shoot and loved it all, but the thing that I was most excited about and also nervous about was Hollywood Boulevard, which, Quentin does everything in camera. We don't do visual effects. You doctor something up a little bit here or there if you have to paint something out, but it's all in camera. So to imagine the stretch of Hollywood Boulevard and what we had to make look like 1969, and to get the permissions to shoot on Hollywood Boulevard was quite extraordinary. And our craftspeople really put their heart and soul into making it look like it did in 1969, and that was it was exciting. And knowing that Brad would be speeding down Hollywood Boulevard gives you a little trepidation at the same time. He's an amazing driver, so he did a great job, and I think that actually captured Quentin's love of cinema. I remember when I first read it, it was like, this is an homage and a love letter to Hollywood that's not been done like this before, about a period of time that people haven't celebrated movies that we haven't necessarily seen celebrated that way. And when you look at the marquees, like he puts up the movies that were playing then. Romeo and Juliet was playing at the time, which in 1969 for 8 months, was it? So a long time. So it's his appreciation and love of movies, and he wants to make sure things were exact as they were then. He would look at the papers, he'd make sure that it was all accurate. And I think he really see, number one, how he loved Hollywood, number two, how he loved the movies in Hollywood.
I think you can see, you talked about at the beginning, the sense of family and festivity while making the film. He puts everything he loves about the movies in the movies. He puts you in the movie. He puts his favorite films on the marquees. Spotted Ghoulardi. Does anybody remember Ghoulardi? I think that was him on TV presenting The Wolfman. I think anybody who grew up in that era in Los Angeles knew that from television, knew that character. I think just like all of us fans, I'm sure everybody here can remember the first time they saw any of his films. I remember watching Reservoir Dogs on tape in my basement and finishing it and rewinding it to watch it again right away. And going on the first date with my wife who's out there to see Pulp Fiction. I think everybody has their memories of these movies, and yet he has the most powerful memories of all that puts on the screen, right? Does anybody want to talk about that aspect of it?
No, for me, this is my first dance with Quentin, and it was just such an education. I learned so much about film and also about leadership, by the way. He is a great leader. But he is constantly regaling the crew with stories about films, actors, behind the scenes. As we were going on location scouts, KHJ was playing in the car, in the bus the entire time. In the production office, it was playing the entire time. You've got tapes of KHJ and it's playing the entire time. And always you just hear these stories. So he has an encyclopedic knowledge. Once a week we'd play, once every week or every 2 weeks trying to prep, we'd play old films that were references to this. At the New Beverly, which was closed at the time for renovation, but we arranged arranged sofas, and we'd just watch and drink and eat, and it was heaven. So he's obsessed with movies, he's obsessed with music, but as much as that, he's obsessed with the family of film and the process of making film, and he makes it very, very special. No mobile phones on set. He treated everybody the same, whether it be the runner or Leo. They're all treated with the same respect. It's not to say he's not a taskmaster, tough taskmaster. He wants it a certain way. But if you give him that, he treats you like a prince. And that's everybody. Every Friday night, there'd be days. Shannon set up this brilliant screening room, very humble, in our production office. And we would watch, there would be margaritas, beer, wine, food, and we'd watch dailies. And again, everybody, Leo, the runners, Heba, the team, and then we'd all go out for a drink afterwards to some bar or club. So, I don't know, the whole experience, every 100 rolls of film, we'd have a break, and break for half an hour and drink margaritas, no matter what time of day. Of course, the AD was trying to orchestrate, the first AD, Bill was trying to orchestrate this, it was towards the end of the day. We definitely got a little slower after that, but it was just an amazing, amazing experience.
No, thank you so much for being here.
I just have one thing to say. Of course, the day is on film.
I want to say something. I want to thank the ArcLight and Cinerama Dome for hosting the retrospective for Quentin this week, and I loved when you guys cheered the Cinerama Dome lit up. I'm very happy.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Let's hear for Shannon McIntosh. Ladies and gentlemen, have a door star, and once upon a time in Hollywood.